Hello, filter-free America listeners, and welcome to this episode of the Filter-Free America podcast. I am so glad you're here, and this episode is definitely going to start out a little bit different than I normally start one out, and I'm just going to do it like this, ladies and gentlemen. The guest, well, two of the guests. There's two guests in this episode, right? But they represent a larger collective who goes by the name of Mr. Rogers and the Make Believe Friends. Listen to him now.
I have love, sweet love, overflowing hot containers and making messes everywhere. Love, ooh love, it darkens my judgment. Now full steam ahead, boys, let's go. Less crowding the exits, let's light up and run through the snow. Don't let go. I have faith, steadfast faith, shattered by bullets and tattered to pieces I could spare. But it escapes steadfast grace, resolute and astounding, that on ever breaks through their core. Their eyes set with regret, young faces getting old. Whoa, growth is rare, faithfully to our mighty strength.
There you go. You just heard a song from the group Mr. Rogers and the Make Believe Friends, right? And now you get to hear from the actual members. Well, two of the members, okay? Two of the members. I'm about to play an interview with Devin and Zac, or as they're known in the band, Mr. Rogers, that's Zac, and Devin is known as Jerry Ulricher, something like that. That we clarify in the episode, okay? Anything I miss in the intro is going to be in the episode, so you're going to figure it out there. Whatever, but we're going to talk to them. You already know their music. You already know their music's dope, right? So now you're going to get to know them, how their band came together, how they met each other, kind of the struggles of forming a band, coming up and finding out what they're doing with their music and where they're going to be at and all that kind of stuff. And it's just a really fun conversation because these guys are really interesting dudes. Plus there was some smoke in the air, so that always leads to good conversation. Also included in this, not only is Devin a member of the group Mr. Rogers and the Make Believe Friends, he is also a professional wrestler. He is a professional wrestler, right? Now, not like top tier, like whatever the top tier wrestling thing is now. Is it still WWF, or did they change that? Whatever it is, WCW something, ABCs, whatever. But yeah, he wrestles. He gets paid to wrestle, and he's doing it obviously for the love of wrestling, because at that level there's not a lot of money in there. But we talk a little bit about that as well too. And also the band, Mr. Rogers and the Make Believe Friends, they work, they do the music and stuff kind of connected to the wrestling shows as well too. So we're going to talk about that too. So it's a really kind of all over conversation, but it surrounds this band and what they're doing and their music. So yeah, it's definitely a fun conversation. I do want to point out a couple things they've got coming up. Starting on September 17th through September 21st in the year 2019, they will be performing with Todd Glass, comedian Todd Glass at Acme Comedy Company, right? Yeah, so apparently Todd Glass, who is a very funny comedian, he's incorporating music cues and some other stuff in his current act that he's doing. And these guys will be the music accompaniment. I can't say that word. I can't say it. Accompaniment. I can't say it. Sorry, not going to happen. Whatever. But they're going to be there with Todd Glass. So that's cool. You get a chance to see them as well, too. But also, if you want to see some wrestling and Mr. Rogers and the Make Believe Friends perform, they've got a show coming up that incorporates those two things. And I had Zach messaged me kind of a script to read, and this is what he gave me. Mr. Rogers and the Make Believe Friends will be before he didn't say it like that. He didn't say it like that at all. And the Make Believe Friends will be performing in conjunction with the live pro wrestling show at the Minsky, I love saying Minsky, the Minsky Theater in the beautiful Northeast Arts District of Minneapolis on September 22nd. That's right. You could go to both shows. You can go see them with Todd Glass at Acme, the 17th through the 21st. And then after those shows are over the next day, September 22nd, you go over to the Minsky, the Minsky Theater in beautiful Northeast Arts District of Minneapolis, and check them out there. Now, that is a independent professional wrestling and live music together in one theater show. The main event of that is a Fatal Four. Fatal Four. That sounds like kind of sexy. It's a Fatal Four-Way. Fatal Four-Way between Oren Vidit. I hope I'm saying that right, because he's a wrestler and he might come body slam me. Oren Vidit, Riley Jackson, Devin Monroe. Oh, we know Devin Monroe. And the amazing Atomic Super Thunder Frog. I don't know. Is that the person? Or is that like a machine that they're going to have there? Wheel out the amazing Atomic Super Thunder Frog. It's going to do what it does. It does Super Thunder Frog stuff. I honestly, I don't know. Maybe I should have asked him. Maybe I should have clarified. But just go to the show. It makes it an adventure. Just go in, buy a ticket, sit down, and wait for the amazing Atomic Super Thunder Frog to happen. It could be a person. It could be a thing. I don't know. Maybe it's a drink that they pass out. Would you like to try the amazing Atomic Super Thunder Frog? I would. Please. I'll have one. But those are the two opportunities to see them. So now you've heard their music, you know their music's dope. Now you're about to hear them. You're about to find out that these are two dope individuals working hard, trying to make it as musicians and wrestlers, right? Weird, right? Two combinations to put together there. Wrestling and they also do comedy. You know, their live music show is actually comedy infused too. So it's a little bit of everything. So it's, the whole deal. So we're going to talk to them. And, I wanted to point out something else too. What else did I want to point out? Oh yeah. You need to go to their YouTube channel, right? Go to their YouTube channel and, just search YouTube, just search it and go for Mr. Rogers and the Make Believe Friends. Okay. Because if you want to hear more music from them, and I want you to want to hear more music for them, you've got to go hear, they do this, their rendition of the song, Paper Planes. Is that what's called? Paper Planes, or is it? Yeah, Paper Planes, right? They do their rendition of it. and they actually shot a video of it. So you get to see them in the flesh, right? You get to, well, not in the flesh, it's via video, but you know, it's the best you can do, right? So it's really cool. And it's a fucking great take on that song. I already love that song, but their rendition of it is fabulous, fantastic. It's awesome. So I want you to go check that out too. So yeah, find them on YouTube. Just search Mr. Rogers and the Make Believe Friends, and they're on Instagram and in the tweeters and the Twitter, and they got Facebook pages and all that. But you know how to do this, right? We've been doing social media long enough now. We know how to figure this out on our own. We're all big boys and girls, right? Just search Mr. Rogers and the Make Believe Friends. There we go, right? There we go. So easy. Real quick, I want to mention the sponsor of the Filter Free America podcast. That is simplewebsite.us. Simplewebsite.us. I got to say it 3 times because it's been scientifically proven. When you hear the name of something 3 times within an advertisement, it actually sticks in your head. So simplewebsite.us. That makes number 3. Okay. As you all know, regular listeners, you guys know, new listeners. There we go. As you new listeners know, Simple Website, what they do is they are experts at using the Squarespace website builder, right? Now, if you want a Squarespace website, but you are like me and you have difficulties with technical crap, okay? Sometimes you need some help, all right? Go to simplewebsite.us. They will do it for you. Their collection of brilliant nerds have mastered the Squarespace building site, and they want to offer their skills of website building to you, and they will do it for you, okay? They will do it for the ground up. They've done it for me. Filterfreeamerica.com. Filterfree America. America intentionally misspelled with the letter K.com. They built that for me. They maintain it for me. And yes, I know I need to get updates on the website. That's completely my fault. It's not their fault, but whatever. All right. They'll do that for you. Okay. Also, in addition to, okay, maybe you don't need them to build it from the ground up. Maybe you just need a little bit of help here or there. Maybe you just need them to do some tweaking to the website you've already got, right? They will do that too. They'll be happy to do little small projects within your website as well too. And then lastly, even if you have the ability, the skills to do it all on your own, I still suggest you go to simplewebsite.us and check out their free tips and tricks that they just throw on their website absolutely for free, because they have so many skills that they just have more skills than they know what to do with, and they want to give some of them away, right? Just go there, find out better ways to do the website that you plan to do on your own, and that shit's free. No money, freeness. Simplewebsite.us. All right, now, you're going to hear the little jingle that Zach recorded here in the studio for the Filter Free America podcast going into this episode. So take time to appreciate that beautiful thing. And then you're going to hear the interview. So I don't know what we're going to call this episode. We're going to keep it simple. Mr. Rogers and the Make Believe Friends right here on Filter Free America. Let's go.
Well, Filter Free America is where I want to be. Driving on the shiny black shores of oil-soaked Lady Liberty, where justice not just blind, but deaf, dumb, and unkind. Thank God I'm filter-free. It's Filter-Free America.
Motherfucker.
This episode is starting with a psychic test.
What is it? What's the card?
Zach is testing Devin.
It's a square.
I've fashioned some the psychic
That's a
flashcards a la Ghostbusters.
Triangle.
Wrong. Okay, you're
A rhombus.
See, I do not believe.
Now, see, if you were hooked up to the shocking thing,
Diagonally.
like where they zapped you every time you got the wrong answer,
You'd be frying right now.
Yeah.
I'd be trying harder, probably.
So we've established that Devin is anti-psychic.
Not at
He's
all.
so bad at being psychic.
which is actually valuable information. You want to know who the non-psychic and psychic people are.
Right.
So if you can just eliminate people's,
You got to suss them out. Those non-psychics, we got to separate them.
I cannot tell the future.
segregation in the future will just be psychics and non-psychics.
See, I strongly believe it's going to be like alien racism.
So when you tell them to go back to where they come from, they astro project back to wherever the country
Back
we.
to whatever
You're like,
galaxy they're
no,
from.
you got to take your whole self.
You see, I knew someone who was like, "Oh, I don't like aliens. I think they're gross, slimy, and like they're scary." And I'm like, "That's just future racism. That's going to be intolerant in like 50 years tops. That's
Right?
going to be intolerant."
E.T. would just be a slur. Where's your glowing finger?
Why don't you heal me? Oh, that's not appropriate. Saying,
So you guys do in a band, right?
oh yeah, hey, this is Zach, aka Mr. Rogers. Mr. Rogers and the Make Believe Friends.
This is Devin. Yeah, I'm here too.
This is the is it? Well, yeah, technically, no, well, yeah, this is the first episode where it's been two guests at the same time.
Oh.
I've had episodes where it was like two different guests in two different parts of it, but this is the first time together.
Yeah, we're gonna really.
So if
tear
this
shit
sucks
up.
and I never do it again, it's your fault.
this
This
is literally the trial run.
We'll take the fall for that.
appreciate that.
Blame it all on the Make Believe Friends. That's our motto, actually.
This is recording us on 9/11. Taking the fall is probably a different context.
Bad choice of words.
This time. So
Sorry.
tell me about the band. The band is called Mr. Rogers and the Make Believe Friends.
And
Yes.
Make Believe Friends. That's right.
That's us.
So it's basically the most fun you can have for whatever a ticket costs.
You know,
Okay.
it's like a circus tent, but mainly it's two hats.
Okay.
you know?
If U2 was a 10, right? And
You two, the band,
the band U2
Yeah.
was a 10,
is a 10.
and Bobby McFerrin is a 1.
Ooh.
Where are you guys at?
Well, if U2's a 10, then we got to be pushing 11, right?
Gotta be pushing
Gotta be
11.
pushing 11.
Yeah.
I mean,
How are you different? What are people gonna, besides the name?
well, yeah, the name's the big selling point.
Of
right?
course,
Beyond
people
that,
love the
it's
name.
just Beyond that, we just get up there and
We're
kinda
not too
flirt
far
around.
off from people picking the music they like by the band names. I mean,
We're not.
we're
It's kind of
right on top. Of
I
it.
think that's where we're at.
We're on the cusp of
This-
greatness here.
Right?
But you know, we bring a real hybrid stage show. It's we're trying to steer away from what you typically would see, where a band gets up there in jeans and a t-shirt, and they're just playing their little
Also,
vignettes and
I did-
talking randomly. And
I did the wrong comparison because the right comparison would have been Kiss is a 10 and Blue Man Group is a 1.
okay,
There
so
you
then
go.
we're
Right?
like a
There
1.
you go.
Absolutely like a 1.
You're
Closer
more
to
Blue
our
Man
one.
Group than
Yeah,
Kiss?
for sure.
We're absolutely
for sure.
more Blue Man Group than
Very
Kiss.
much so the Blue Man Group.
In terms of merchandising, we want to be like Kiss. In terms of weird stage show, we want to definitely
We want to be like the
more
Blue Man
Yeah.
Group.
Okay,
Yeah.
fair enough. Well,
I thought we were comparing with U2. I realize now that I've compared us, like we're like super U2.
We're like super. huge, dude.
we're like Sunday bloody Sunday.
you're like U2, but you letter TOO.
Were you three?
U2.
Were you three? Were you 4 it's our new band name.
So how do you describe the stage show? What's the production part besides cool funky music? What's going on up there?
I sink a lot of money into costumes.
The look is very important, but it's the high energy rocking nature of our performance. It's
Yeah.
kind of like dark rock and roll jukebox where we're I wouldn't ever call us a cover band, but we definitely do play a healthy selection of songs that you're like, I remember that.
Yeah. Okay.
But not like, oh, bar band's playing Breaking Benjamin. Good job, good job, you. It's more we're reinterpreting. What is the word I'm looking for here, Devin?
I believe it's
You're reinterpreting how that's pronounced. That's what's-
We're just trying my re-own
contagious.
interpretation of every. Just everything here is make believe, so it doesn't matter what I say. But we translate kind of a lot of pop music and a lot of weird stuff into kind of our own genre, which we've affectionately dubbed cult pop.
yeah.
Okay.
A little bit turning pop culture on its head.
So are you doing 50-50 originals and covers? Or how much original stuff are you doing? And
That's a great question, Devin.
Well, you know, we've got an amount of original work that we can throw in. It's a question of how many members of the band know it at the same time.
Okay.
So we work with a rotating cast of characters.
All right.
And so when it comes to doing,
Is that saying that you two are the only full time?
right?
Okay.
We've got another guitar player who's fully committed to the band, but if
Right.
he can't make a show, we don't not book that show.
Right.
We'll
still play that
we
show.
will still pull out the same level of performance, just with less pieces. But it's I wouldn't do a show without Devin or without Jerry on stage with me, because solo work is kind of the antithesis of what I'm trying to go for here.
Right.
But beyond that, it's kind of whatever we.
But if
got,
it was
we're gonna
solo
work
act,
with.
the Make Believe Friends would make more sense.
Right, and that's how it started, absolutely. Because I'd get up at an open mic, the people be doing comedy, and I'd show up with a guitar, I'd tell jokes, and then come back and be like, "Oh, hey, it's Mr. Rogers and the Make Believe Friends. Give it up for all my friends." Make up some random names. On trombone, we got Dirk Haberback. On saxophone, Mitch Spiegel. And that's a bit in itself, and that's kind of where we started blending the comedy and the music, because like I was talking about, when you see jeans and t-shirt band up there, if they're telling a joke, it's like, oh hey, what are Mario's pants made of? Denim. And the audience is like, oh yeah, we heard that one, or it's
All
okay,
right.
and it's like, it's stale.
Can I use that?
Yeah, you can have that. That
Absolutely.
one's all yours.
For you.
But we particularly like having original stand-up in our set, or
Right.
original jokes or bits. Sometimes we're not even playing songs. Sometimes we're doing some sort of musical bit.
Now, is this all off the cuff stuff, or are you doing prepared?
We 50-50.
Like, we write a set list, but we also do whatever we want. So
Right.
it's
So sometimes screwy stuff can happen. We've been doing a bit now. I don't really want to tip it, but we call it the Request Love Live, where we take requests from the audience and we can play any song.
Any song.
And that's a whole bit unto itself.
Now,
We
at
just play the same song, and then
the end of the episode, we're gonna hear music by the magic of
we're gonna have
podcast
original.
editing. It's gonna be there at the end. But can you describe, like in words, what people are gonna and I guess expect when they hear you perform live?
When they hear us perform live, they can definitely expect chaos.
a lot of chaos.
It's loud, it's chaotic. All like we were talking about, the kind of the 50-50 split of original music and cover music.
Right.
Our originals vary deeply. The single we've just put out is more on that indie rock side, with kind of a hard rock kind
You
of
have a
twist
cover
at
of
the
La
end.
Bamba.
That's so funny, because that's for the Request Love Live. We've gotten that twice.
Yeah.
We've gotten La Bamba twice live. So yes.
I like a specifically weird genre of music. I only like music performed by people who died in plane crashes. So
Oh,
it's like-
okay. So Buddy,
makes
sense.
Buddy
Very
Holly, and
That's pretty much
I
it.
mean, you get some good music.
So
in
we
there,
could
sure.
find like a demo tape from someone on one of the flights. Anyway,
we're just embracing the holiday here. I'm glad that this episode's gonna come out in like a random couple of days.
Yeah.
and
Right.
Therefore, no one's gonna know what we're talking about. Hey,
I'll
do the
make sure they
math.
know. Anybody listen to the show long enough, they figured out the
Oh
bit
yeah,
by now.
they figured that out for sure. But yeah, so it's versus like other originals we're working on, where it's literally like almost power metal, versus kind of pop punk, versus kind of indie, or we rap. We do rap songs.
we do rap songs.
So we literally run the gamut on our originals and our covers. We've also, we recently put out our cover of Paper Planes as like a live in
Yeah,
studio.
I heard that one was
performance.
pretty dope.
It's a fun one to do.
Yeah,
Don't tell Zach I'm working on some country stuff right now.
nice.
I'm hoping I can get the band to play.
Good country, like the old stuff, or like what the
Hopefully.
shit now, which is
That's
like
the idea.
twangy.
He wants
But
to play Old Town Road.
I really want to play Old Town Road.
Has
Pretty
anybody ever
cool.
done a cover of that yet? I don't know.
yes.
I don't watch media.
I don't think
Ever.
anyone's done a cover of that.
I've had my head under a rock.
I'm pretty sure I've done one. I just don't know. I just
You probably have.
It sounds like a really
Yeah.
original idea.
That's what I
I'm
think.
sure we could edit that together.
What What's like the strangest example of a song that you would cover? Like,
We cover ABBA.
okay, I know the reference, but I couldn't tell you an ABBA song to
So specifically, we cover a song from Mamma Mia.
the play or the
Well, it's
Yeah.
it's
Broadway.
a sensation actually.
It's a play. It's a movie. It's a whole
it's all those
experience.
It's so funny. I got stuck parked out by the Ordway Theater when a production of Mamma Mia was getting out. I don't want to exactly say what I was doing there, but it may have involved Pokemon Go. I'm just saying, hit me up.
the
Right,
saddest thing ever said on this podcast.
So I can't get out because all these people who look like they should be in Mamma Mia are all exiting to their cars. Every single one of them looks like they're either in ABBA or in from Mamma Mia. And I was like, wow, you could just clean up at this place. This sad cougars, just wowzers. So. But we take what is ostensibly like an old school weird Icelandic or wherever they're from pop song and turned it into like a dark rock, just ass kicking, bone crunching song.
Oh yeah,
It's honestly one of our favorites now, and it's kind of like people start the performance going, "Oh, that's funny," and they end this performance with, "Holy shit, that just happened."
Right.
That's kind of what we strive for.
Are you having hard times getting booked in places, like explaining that to people, and is that something that
We just
venues are looking
don't
for?
explain it. And again, we with having such a broad catalog as what we play, we can basically cater our sets to whatever we end up booked on.
yeah. We can fit a lot of bills that way.
Yeah, so we've played shows with metal bands, like one show in particular that was completely booked out with metal bands, and then like half the metal bands dropped and got replaced with like rap acts and indie bands, and there's just this metal crowd there just expecting to see like the big local acts because one of the bigger bands, Timekeeper, their members got like sick or something. And so this metal crowd's there, and we're
It's
like,
not very
"What?
metal. I got a cold.
I gotta go perform. I can't go.
Right.
You sound better when you're sick, honestly. But anyway, so we ended up just like playing one of our most metal sets and had the entire metal kids, who been sitting through all this stuff that they wanted to mosh to, and they actually were like attempting to mosh to rap.
Okay.
Which is hilarious. All right, they were moshing to our buddy Jay Havoc,
It's
who we play
courageous.
shows with.
Nice.
But we got up there and just gave it to them. Meanwhile, we can also bust out like an acoustic set, play Somewhere Over the Rainbow,
Yeah.
and they get real heartfelt, do love songs, and then it's just like
Can you mosh to Somewhere Over the Rainbow?
Yeah,
That's
if you
the-
want to.
could. It's one of those hardcore like halftime jams where you're just like,
but not the version of that fat Hawaiian dude that used to sing it. What was it?
can't
remember his name.
and here I am. I'm saying Somewhere Over the Rainbow, which we haven't covered in.
Oh, yeah,
in
you're
a-
thinking,
I'm thinking
Rainbow
Rainbow
Connection.
Oh,
Rainbow
okay.
Frog, and
You
that's,
could really mosh
we
to
can
that.
really
Basically the
mosh
same
to
song.
that.
I
Yeah,
was
yeah.
gonna-
You do spin kicks to that because you can go slower,
That's
get
now
your
he
leg
gets what
higher,
I'm saying.
right?
You could really hardcore dance to some
and then you
Rainbow
can time your
Connection.
jumps out better.
Right.
And, like really elbow someone in the head if you need to.
You really need to knock someone out.
Yeah,
We need more violent music.
I agree.
honestly.
Does anybody ever did a show that they just didn't get you?
That's a great question.
I don't know.
If they
Probably.
did, they didn't tell us.
We don't see those people.
We've probably walked some people who were not expecting
Yeah, they probably just left.
that,
right?
but for the most part, it's funny what songs will play that'll just drag people out of the woodwork, and they just like people from the kitchen coming around and being like, "What the hell is going on out there?" Like I don't remember what song it was we did at the Dinkytown Poorhouse, but I saw the kitchen staff literally like, the fuck. Okay, I guess they're just doing that.
Was
That's
that
gonna
when you played La Bamba? Because that would make sense.
No, we weren't doing that bit at that point.
Okay.
But I do think it's funny that people we request any song and people immediately go to La Bamba.
La Bamba.
Classic.
I haven't heard La Bamba since.
Last time that movie was on TNT. How long have you been together? When did that start?
How long have we been a unit here?
That's a good question.
Musically.
It was like the first gig. Was that the house show or was that like harmonic convergence? Because
First gig probably was Harmonic Convergence, right?
which would have been like
we were
summer
playing-
2016.
We got booked by our friends Lyritics. I would consider the first time we actually like we're a band was the first time we're on stage, because that's when it's like you're proving your metal. It's like we're actually doing this. So playing the harmonic convergence with Lyrics, I think you may know the look on your face when I said that. And we did that as a 2-piece and had just a crazy, weird, awkward time.
Yeah,
it was we're like, let's keep doing this.
It was hosted by Adam Quaynell, actually.
Oh yeah,
was it?
Yeah.
When did you guys know each other prior to music?
So
no.
Yeah, prior to music, no. So basically, like kind of taking a far step back into the origin stories of how this really got started. Like I was kind of saying, I was, working in the stand-up scene. That's how we met, of course. Doing open mics and then getting offered to like double dip and go up with an acoustic and sing some songs. And then like essentially after maybe 2 years of doing stand-up and then kind of bridging it with the music but trying to keep them separate, the idea came back into my head from whatever, being 18 and like, oh, Mr. Rogers and the Make Believe Friends, that's a funny joke and it's a reference to a Bloodhound Gang song and blah blah blah. I always refer to the band as we, even when it's just me.
It's the royal we.
It's the royal we. I could say me, but we. There I go. Okay.
Ran away.
Hold on, I want a drink of water. You tell my story there.
All right.
You make it up.
So from that point, what he was thinking about doing was quitting comedy altogether and joining a band where they were really focused on writing serious music for people to listen to.
He's pretty close, actually. This is pretty accurate.
Okay.
Basically, I was already in a metal band and like a alternate 90s like Matchbox 20, Third Eye Blind, exactly. Yeah, I was into it, but like I have even though I know they're like the worst people on the earth, like Third Eye Blind still has a place in my heart for that first album, maybe a couple others, but so I was in like 2 bands and doing stand up, and then I had my uncle actually passed away suddenly. And he was actually a bassist in a band called the Style Monkeys in the Twin Cities in the 90s. So he was basically the person who, from a young age, told me or demonstrated to me that, hey, you could actually be in a band. You could just do that.
Right.
Like before that, it was kind of like, oh, these people in bands, they're somehow special, and it's an unattainable thing.
Like you could get like permission to form a band,
right?
Like someone's gonna tell you, oh, you guys should be.
You guys are a band. You've been at this sales job for 10 years. Guess what? You've been promoted to Axl Rose. Like I don't know. I was a dumb kid. I don't know how it worked, but it seemed like there was definitely like blockades in the way.
It should be where you could just form one at any given time, regardless of ability.
You should be able to like hey, Captain Planet, like form, like pull all the powers together in the snap of your hat. Like,
you ever played kazoo?
I think everyone has. Yeah, get in here. You got the slide whistle. All right, we're a band.
Your lead
and that's
kazoo?
Pretty much how this band started.
Pretty much.
Rhythm kazoo.
But so yeah, basically, like I said, he was the inspiration that like, oh, a random person in my family was just like touring in a band in the 80s and 90s and like having music videos and albums and like opening for Primus and all this stuff. And I'm like, well, I'm gonna fucking do that. Right. But so cut to, I moved to the cities because I thought that, I had some like online interest bands looking to like recruit me up here. So I was like, well, let me just get up there and it'll be easier. And of course, none of those panned out. So then searching and finding.
Tell me about that for a minute. What is there like always like bands looking
absolutely
to fill spots? Is that,
yes, there's more.
And how cutthroat is it? Like how many times do they like okay, this guy's way better than our guitarist, and then you just like take him out back and shoot him?
I actually started up here on drums, living in a tiny apartment in downtown Minneapolis, with my drum set consistently in my car year round in the winters. All of it, loading gear in and out every day. But just basically, when you're a drummer, you can find work just about anywhere with bands because everyone needs a drummer desperately.
That's the most limited one because nobody wants to be the drummer. Everybody wants to be the guitarist.
Drums and bass.
Drums and bass.
We
are the
both
most
were
needed.
kind of in that vein of like, hey, this is what you need to,
I actually
you
didn't
can work.
start on bass. I graduated high school with no plans and took to Craigslist to find a gig on saxophone, and nobody needed a fucking saxophone. But so many people needed bass guitar, and I found a band that I liked, and I hit them up.
Right.
I sent them an email, and they sent me one back, and I was like, "Fuck, here we go!" Like
Right.
that was it.
Just jumped in feet
So
first.
do they like ask to hear you first, or do they like you just tell them like, no, I can really play, and like, okay, come on in.
Well, what happened for me was I hit them up. I let them know what my experience was, which was playing saxophone in high school, and I was like, "I'll
That's what
buy
we're
a
looking for.
bass and I'll learn it." And they're like, "I guess."
That's how desperately people need bassists.
For real.
Most bassists I've worked with have been playing for like under 6 months.
Try that. I should just put an ad on Craigslist. Like, what
You
what do
could
you
be
need?
in a Weekend Warrior
real.
band.
Just to-
You can have a
He's
gig
like
tomorrow.
that.
Knowing this now explains so many shows that I've heard. It's like, how can these guys be this bad? I'm like,
Right.
oh, okay, he
Yeah.
just started playing.
you got these guys
bass.
off Craigslist.
Yes,
Like I did have to meet up with them and play a couple of their songs to prove I could do it.
Right.
But then past that, they're like,
You have to
"We'll
like
teach you
pick
the
out
rest
Flea
of
out
them."
of a lineup or something like that.
Yeah.
He knows a little bit about bass.
They're like, "Who's your favorite?" I was like, "Bootsy Collins." They're like, "All right, you're in."
But yeah, so it was a lot of that, just auditioning for bands. And when I turned 18, moved to the cities, it was just like maybe spent half a year not paying rent and just going on all these auditions, meeting people, and eventually it kind of turned out like, you just got to start your own band.
Right.
So we started Florence Republic, me and like 3 other guys. By the end of that band's run, it was just me and one the singer as the original members, as so many.
How do you know what a
different
band's
people.
run has done? What's
We'll get to that. No, don't worry. We'll get to that. Juicy,
You can see
juicy
it coming.
bit. Yeah,
like I knew my dog needed to go down when like she had a tumor. You know,
When there's several tumors growing on your band, you need to put it down, or you need to have like absolute surgery. But
right.
so eventually, we formed that. I was still doing stand up at the time and just kind of like juggling between the both. And then, like I said, my uncle had passed away, and then all of a sudden it wasn't very funny anymore.
Okay.
And I was like, well, I can continue getting shit on doing comedy, dealing with, I don't want to specifically shit on any comics, but those wannabe.
That's what the show's here for.
I could
listen before.
shit on local comics, Filter Free America. That's a tag right there. You can use that freely whenever you want.
It's a good bumper right there.
So, I decided just priorities. I've been doing music so much longer than stand up that it's okay to cut that loose, and because if I'm not feeling it, because I remember I was booked on the Monday Night Underground, and I had like the day my uncle died, I had to hit up Brindleson and be like, yeah, I can't do this. And I was really excited to finally do the Underground.
How do you take it? What's he-
He was like, "Who are you again? Who's this?"
Oh, you're number 7.
Not anymore.
All right.
So then, it was like prioritizing the music for this band. And like I said, I described it as like 90s period.
Yeah.
We released a cassette, which was awesome.
All right.
You were saying about like, how if they have to listen to you beforehand. Luckily, I had an album from like high school that I could be like, listen to this bullshit, and like recorded a couple videos to send out or whatever. But this was like kind of that next, like, this is where we're at now. We got to record an album. So even if this band dissolves, I can maybe get another job drumming for someone else just by showing off the album.
Right.
That was the initial plan, and ended up investing a whole bunch of money in an album with this band. And then, like you were saying, you start to see the tumors, you start to see the gears start to slow down.
Right.
And all of a sudden, I felt like I was. It's very atypical for a drummer in the band to be the number one driving force. Usually, they're the ones you're having to harass to get to practice, and you're kind of dragging them along. For me, it was my job was to harass the band into actually showing up to practice. Blah blah blah. Eventually, I mean, we were running, it's kind of funny, the band that Devin mentioned kind of comes back into this because we were running a music festival out in Plum City, Wisconsin. We did that for 4 years. and that's rife with stories. But around the end of the 4th year, we were losing our bassist, and we got recommended Devin from our mutual friends in Splimit. And it turns out he had just gotten kicked out.
Splimit a band or northern Minnesota city?
That's a great question.
That's an excellent question.
Sounds like both.
We're going on down to Splimit. We're gonna catch some crawdads. You can't get crawdads in North Minnesota.
No,
I don't know
can't.
what the hell I'm on.
What are you talking about?
Weed is
Oh,
what it's
Jesus.
called.
Oh, that stuff's illegal, man.
I believe
don't
it's
know
a
what you're talking
geographical
about.
term. I don't know what it means, though.
But yeah, Splimit's a band. Splimit's a great local band. Speaking of drinking hams, Splimit, the ham band.
Okay.
But so Devin had just gotten kicked out of the band that we had booked to like.
What did you get kicked out of your
feature.
band for?
Oh, I wasn't good enough.
Oh.
Like 10 months later, they were like, "You're just not getting better." And I was
Oh,
like,
this is the
"Yeah,
one you
I'm
said
10 months
you're
into
gonna
this, so-"
learn the bass. Oh,
Yeah,
They were pretty particular,
they're
very particular. They kick out a lot
like
of
they're like
members.
progressive psychedelic rock. They're actually really technical. They're a very technical group. And so to think that I could just jump in on an instrument that I don't play is very bold of me.
But if he had
And-
just hung on for like another month, he would have been at my music festival.
That's true.
Having us
Right.
never met before, which is fun. But right after that, when our bassist left, we hit up Mitch from Splimit, like, "Hey, you're a bassist. You're a really good bassist. Do you know any others?
right.
Like, show me your kind." And he's like, "This guy just got kicked out of a band. I don't actually know if he plays good or not, but I know him." And so it was,
Refer me to a good one. Oh, here's one who just got fired.
right,
Here's one.
exactly. But that was kind of our ethos in that band, is like, bassist.
It's a band of
We'll
of
train him.
fired members. Is that what it was?
So that's what we did. So Devin joined Florence Republic, and then like I kind of was saying, people all of a sudden you're harassing them to come to practice, and you're the only driving force of the band, besides Devin showing up. But then we were jamming early like proto Mr. Rogers stuff,
doing other things.
How,
the band
how
wasn't
good
gonna
was he
show
when
up.
he started with?
He actually, in Devin's words, he was
Go
really
ahead.
nervous about auditioning, and then he heard the album.
He's like, oh, I thought there was a skill level here.
He was like, "Oh, I can do this."
I can
well, the
pluck this
bassist
shit.
that we had before that, when he first started, he had been playing for 6 months,
Okay.
and he wrote like all the bass lines, and he overcomplicated them, because that's what you can do when your mind is free and you don't know your instrument. You can just get overcomplicated and awesome.
Yeah.
So then he took it to the next level of overcomplicated, and it was a lot of magic. It was a lot of musical sparks in that band, but the rest of the band wasn't really like you'd expect your singer, who's put his face as like, this is my band. Like you'd expect him to maybe, I don't know, organize practice or try
Right.
just to try. So after that, I kind of told the band entirely like, well, I will show up to practice if you guys book it. If you guys make this happen, I'll keep showing up. But until then, I'm not doing any more work on this, because we're starting this other make-believe friends project, and it's honestly a lot more fun.
And I was like, "I'm new here. I just playing bass.
Right.
That's what I'm gonna do."
So none of those groups, none of the members from the other group came with you to this new.
No, it was us basically. Oops. It was us jamming and making up random bullshit while we waited for the rest of the band to show up. And eventually Devin was kind of like, "Hey, we should just be doing this." And I was like, "I don't know." And he was like, "I think we could. Let's try this."
Let's give this a
He
shot.
kind of pushed me into it there.
I'm enjoying this, and I'm not enjoying it after those people show up.
Right.
Which I love.
Which is a sign.
and I love those people
Right.
still.
Right.
Which is
we would occasionally do little like jammies with Rafa.
It's like any other job, right? You work with somebody and they can be a horrible employee to work with.
yeah.
Then you guys hang out and you like bang bitches and shit together, and it's fine. But
Right.
You just don't want to work with them.
Yeah, but we would jam with like Rafa from the Royal Dumpsters. He was originally our guitarist in Florence Republic, but like he went off into that band and we went off into our band, and now we play shows together. But like we used to kind of jam a little bit with him, and we've played shows where the original, because we didn't have a drummer, we just made the singer from Florence Republic sit on drums if we absolutely needed drums.
Right, last
for,
resort.
for early versions.
I need you to boom boom whack for us, please.
Basically, yeah, keep
Gotcha.
a steady beat, and that's it.
Is there locally? Is there any other like bands similar to you? What you're doing that's doing this kind of this stage?
It's hard.
show?
It depends on how you count it. I mean, there's Bob Ross Mob Boss. Are they local? How local
Yeah,
are they? They're pretty
they're a
local.
local band. I don't know
But
what
I think they're
from,
similar to us only in name alone.
Right.
Because I think their stage antics are a little bit more different.
The controversial new Skinny Pill plays really weird
They
music.
do play weird stuff, but they don't have the because
They've got a look like the front guy looks like Frank Zappa.
It's true.
Really?
He looks
Yeah.
exactly like Frank Zappa, but they don't have the silliness. You know, they don't have the versatility that we have.
That's true.
They're very stuck in there.
Their
I mean, not
silliness is
stuck
all in there.
Are you worried that you're creating band beef right now by
You know,
critiquing
A little
that?
bit.
well,
I am.
I don't think. I think they'd accept what we have to say because we're like, yeah, that's what we're doing. Like, we're going for that.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, you guys are
We
doing
hope
it.
we can
We're
be
not
like
doing
you.
that. Like the end goal, at least personally for me, as Mr. Rogers, is I don't think that like it's physically possible for me to be the best guitar player in the world. You know, there's people who've dedicated every
That's
second
the
of every-
total reason why I don't start because I
Right.
just know I can't be the best in the world.
There's just almost no point. And it was especially my frustration playing drums is like this is such a when it comes down to really good drumming, it's like doing hard algebra. Like it's all about this just memorization of perfect sequences in math versus me when I was drumming and just kind of feeling it, you know, and just
Right.
having a good time. To reach the next level, I was like, I'm gonna have to do homework for this.
Yeah.
This is bullshit. And it's kind of same with guitar. Like if I want to be like a legendary level shredder, it's an intense amount of dedication and work.
Right.
And I can play guitar pretty. I can play 3 whole chords.
Oh, he can hold his
Okay,
own.
so-
You don't need to know any more than that.
But what I can feasibly accomplish is being the best like live performing frontman. Like
Right.
be the most entertaining that you can be. Don't be the most technically proficient that you can be necessarily.
Do bands that are more traditional as far as like really focused on the skill of it and you know that
They're
side
boring.
of do they look down? Is there
Probably.
is there a like
Probably.
us against them type thing? Or like
I-
you guys are just all show or
I think that it's that sine wave of they start with like, oh, what is this? And then by the end of the show, they're like, that was really solid. Like I think we win. I think we start in a hole and we win people over really
Yeah.
hard every show.
Like we started a deficit because we have costumes.
Right.
Right. Where we're up there in top hats and bow ties and all sorts of goofy
Doing
shit.
shtick, having fun.
Yeah, we're being real goofy.
You remember? I wonder what like gore. What how do you say it? Is it gore or
Guar.
guar?
Guar. It's technically
Guar.
speaking, it's a weird mispronunciation of gore, like bloody stabbing
Okay.
gore. So it would be gore.
It'd be gore.
Like their very first time performing in costume. They had to be
yeah.
like, what the fuck is this?
Right. All Kiss wannabes or whatever. but
Right.
Like with a ridiculous level.
Right.
But
It's worse
yeah,
than Kiss. It's like if
They're like,
Kiss want to be as if like they're dressed as boots, like the dragon boots. Like just their whole costume
just
is the
boots
boot.
and cod
the
pieces.
audience is screaming, "Get off the stage! We've seen Parliament."
But yeah, you've hit it right on the head. I mean, kind of like Gwar-esque, but like not squirting blood. Like
Yet.
we can get a little gory.
You need another fluid. You need a signature fluid. That's their thing.
Yeah, signature fluid.
True.
We should work on that.
I think it
If
would be
the
positivity
Juggalos
juice.
get Fago and Gwar gets blood, we need something.
Right? You need a fluid of choice.
G.G. Allen gets urine. What do we get?
That's a great question.
Right?
We should liquefy G.G. Allen and just spray that on
Spray
stage.
G.G. Allen over the crowd.
That's meta.
It's super meta, and that's exactly what we're about.
You murder junkies want some fucking blood?
And add G.G. Allen blood.
I think people think like we try really hard to just be entertaining. Period.
Yeah.
It's not about like this brand new original song with such deep lyrics. Even though Overflowing is a brand new original song with super deep lyrics.
You know.
It's more about the excitement of we start a show with Mr. Lou by Dick Dale to be like, hey, it's Pulp Fiction. Remember that, or start with the Cheers theme, or
Right.
like start with something really familiar, and then go into something super obscure. Is our favorite kind of Whiplash motion,
Gotcha.
where we're playing songs by bands you've never heard of, but they're kick-ass songs, and you know it doesn't. We're trying to blur the lines. It doesn't matter what's original. It doesn't matter. Like the idea of we only play original music, that came around like in the last 50 years, and I think it's kind of bullshit. Like original comedy, I get. Like you can't be up there telling street jokes. You know, that doesn't fly anymore because the scene's got really snooty, and that's you know
Good.
when it comes to an original, it's an
Yeah.
original idea smithing,
Yeah,
and
good.
that's cool. But it used to be like a band every 10 bands would be playing standards. That's what we called them, standards.
Yeah.
Every band plays these 50 songs or whatever, and we're just trying to bring back standards.
I'm gonna do some standards, man.
Right.
Like we're trying. That works on multiple levels. We're trying to bring back.
We're trying to bring back standards. Do you know what I mean? It's like, it's one thing to be able to play the songs, but can you perform the fucking songs?
Right.
You know what I mean?
That's a big difference too.
And maybe we can't, but we're at least willing to try.
Right.
Whereas I feel like some people, they're like, I don't know if it's too focused on the technical aspect. Oh man, now I sound like a shitty bassist. But I mean, is there such thing as a good bassist? Who knows?
It's yet to be proven. But like even like personally one of my most favorite songs to play that we've been playing, one of the songs we've been playing longest, it was written almost 100 years ago. I mean,
What's
it's
that?
Putting on the Ritz.
Oh no shit.
And we do a dark, folksy, high-powered, screaming, in-your-face version that works as an acoustic duo, works as a full band, it worked solo back in the D. But you know, so we're all over the board. It's like we're playing from the 80s, we're playing from the 1930s, we're playing from 2006. We're
Absolutely.
playing, yeah.
You also perform in kind of unique venues or situations too.
Right.
That I think is really cool. I think it's the coolest thing is that you've taken this music and applying it in like other entertainment forms.
Right, going back to being able to fit any bill or just change our set list to do whatever.
Right.
You know, besides metal shows.
So tell me about because you're a wrestler
Yeah.
as well
So
too, and this is who you are in the band as well too, is
Right.
the same person.
So
let's talk about the characters and then talk about the wrestling and how that all kind of connects together.
for sure.
How did we get from Devin to Jerry?
Well,
And what let me ask this: we band first and then wrestler, or wrestler first and band?
band first and then wrestler.
Okay, that's interesting.
Band, comic, then wrestler.
Band, comedian and then wrestler.
In that order.
In that exact order. By like a number of days. It's weird.
Just decide he's going to take on the world at once.
You know, just do it all. Fuck it. It's mine.
Right.
Let's it I don't know. I think it started with like we were just kind of doing our own thing, and then we got up on stage and I didn't have anything, and you had sort of a thing going on with like you had a vest and like a shirt.
I believe you were wearing a dashiki,
I was wearing a dashiki. That's all I had.
which was going for it at the
it
time.
was right.
I wear them on Sundays. It's the thing.
I feel it.
Right.
Sunday's a good dashiki day.
Exactly.
You know, but.
I wear them when I'm going to Hastings to make white people uncomfortable.
To make white people uncomfortable. It's my favorite thing to do in Hastings, and it's very easy to do there.
Yeah, no, sure. Just walking in sometimes.
You just got to be there.
Yeah.
But so that became your character in the band,
Right.
and then
Jerry L. Richer.
Jerry
you
L.
know?
Richer, which is a made-up name.
Which is a made-up
Which
name.
all names are made up.
All names are made up.
Right.
Okay.
What I'm saying is you made it up on the spot and then committed to it for 4 years.
That's true. We're 4 years running on a name I made up in a moment.
Right.
To be, just for no reason, right? And I'm sticking with it, and I like it, so that's how it is. But so after a while of being in the band, I moved out of my grandparents' house and into.
They died, huh?
No,
Oh.
that's just who I was
Roasted.
living with. Oh man.
Gotcha.
Oh no.
That's how I moved out of my grandfather's house.
Oh.
You gotta go. She's.
That's why I
dead.
would move in, because it's probably paid for. It's never mind. But yeah, so I was living in the same house as Zach, Mr.
House of
Rogers
Make
here,
Believe?
the House of Make Believe,
Right.
and it didn't make sense to keep my Pizza Hut job in Hastings, so I quit that, and I was unemployed for a while. I quickly delved into a stint of alcoholism.
Was the geography why that didn't make sense to keep that job, or just because it was a
just
Pizza
didn't
Hut
make
job?
sense to try, and I didn't want to go to Hastings from St. Paul to deliver pizza.
Right. Like, I could just do this here.
I could, and then I didn't.
But he didn't.
Because when you bring up the idea of transferring stores to and a Pizza Hut environment, they're like, no, fuck you. You can work here.
Right.
And you're like, well, I guess I just won't work then. So, because the
It's
other
not worth the paperwork to them either. They'll just
no,
find
it's
somebody else
not. They don't care.
to carry the box.
I have to like reapply and then not get the job. Like, I already did this.
Right.
But yeah, so I was unemployed for a while, and during my unemployment, I watched a whole lot of Lucha Underground on Netflix, reminding me how much I loved wrestling. Because I used to watch wrestling all the time,
Right.
and then I kind of fell out during high school as it became uncool, you know?
Right.
And then I was like, fuck, I love this. What am I doing? Like, I Googled to see if there was a place where I could learn, and Ken Anderson opened a school in Brooklyn Center called the Academy School of Pro Wrestling.
Okay.
So I got a job at Ragstock because I looked like I should work at Ragstock, and saved up my money.
You're kind of dressed like Ragstock.
I'm
actually, so
currently
that's good.
dressed in almost all
It's
Ragstock.
80% rag stock
Yeah.
right there.
and a
Tiger
local
Woods.
band shirt.
Right.
You know.
It looks good. Where's it going?
Thank you.
At least you dressed up. I don't know. This guy. He just came with the hat.
I'm in
Just
the hat.
He's got
Oh, yeah.
a nice
The hat-
black
the
For
shirt.
you
hat's
people
all you
listening at
need.
home, he has just the hat on.
Just the hat.
Just the hat on.
All right. Well,
It's really
I'll
awkward.
get in costume here if you guys are going to complain.
I'm complaining. So. But yeah,
So you just, what does it cost to go to a wrestling school?
varying amounts. But this one, it's
It's not something you get a scholarship for. It's kind of
no, not really. It's kind of
I'm
just
on a pro wrestling scholarship, actually.
you could get a loan for it maybe, but I bet that wouldn't pan out. I
Right.
don't know. So this one they do, or at least when I started there doing, it was $3,000 for 6 months of classes,
Jesus.
and then after that it's $75 a month for continuing education.
Okay.
And then you go and like until you graduate, right? And I still haven't graduated, but at a certain point, I was like, I feel like I kind of get the mechanics of this enough, but I'm not sure how to work it, and I don't know what to do really.
You're not going to say no if they say, hey, come to this show.
And
You're not going to
and
turn that down.
I got told he was like, well, if you feel like I feel like you're ready to work a show. If you need to work a show to try and understand this more, go out there and do the work, you know?
Right.
And so I kind of started taking bookings, and I've just been too busy to go back, and I feel bad, and I'd like to, but it's
It's funny. You started taking bookings, and then you got Witzel's spot.
no.
Right.
I got
Witzel's-
Andrew.
He's doing pro wrestling too.
No.
Wait, am I confused?
Yeah, you're saying the wrong name.
Isn't that the same person?
Say what you said.
Witzel.
Andrew Witzel?
Yeah.
No.
Who's the wrestler then? Oh my
Andrew
God.
Wilson.
Wilson?
Yeah.
You're kidding me.
Nope.
Andrew Witzel was a collegiate wrestler.
Collegiate.
See that
He
I
did Greco-Roman
I
wrestling.
didn't finish the episode.
The truth comes out.
I
I only listened to the first half either. Too.
you know, it's funny
about
because I was like, I just missed the part where he transitioned into pro wrestling. I just figured it was coming. It made so much sense. So, okay, Andrew Wilson, who you haven't had on the podcast. Damn it. I picked that podcast episode because I'm like, oh, I'm going to go listen to a wrestler and prepare.
Oh my god, that's amazing.
And he was a wrestler, though.
He was a wrestler.
This is breaking my brain. So, wait.
Two Andrews with W-I last names.
Right.
I don't have that much time. I'm going to get confused sometimes.
Oh
In
man.
your defense, they're really long episodes, so
And I started today.
Fair enough.
70% is my goal. Do about that much of it.
So someone broke a leg,
Someone
literally, not just the stage metaphor, and you got to take their spot and then get to like.
They broke their leg in a match, or they?
I
had to fight.
I had to have a play-in match.
Yeah.
It was me
Okay.
versus Shane Black. No relation.
No relation.
For the Prospect Cup opportunity, you know, because there was one spot open. So
And he was leading the pack from the Prospect Cup for a while.
for a
so
little while.
basically just
Are
made
you
a
getting
name for himself there.
Are you getting paid to do
Yeah, a little bit.
Like,
No, you're getting paid
is
a
it
lot. That's how you get paid more. Is you make people think that your going rate is like 3 times what it currently is.
Edit that out.
You're getting
I'm getting
you're getting paid
the
like
big bucks.
Big
Do you
bucks.
understand? I'm getting booked main events. Do you see?
He was just
Main
counting money just a minute ago. I
title
saw it.
matches.
How do you get paid? Is it like everybody gets paid the same in wrestling? How does that?
Yeah, I think you get paid based on your draw and based on your ability.
it's got to be similar to how comics get paid. Like,
Yeah.
it's your
Yeah,
going
yeah.
rate is your going rate.
based on what job you're doing. Like if you're on the first, you're still not hosting it because there's a guy hosting it, right? But if you're the first one, you're still the first one. You get like
Trying to be careful here.
yeah. I can't.
Is this
say
like
this,
opening act wrestling? Is
It's
that
like I can't say this, but I want to tell you. You know what I mean?
right.
So explain why you can't tell him. 'Cause there are rules.
So in
place.
wrestling, there's this thing called kayfabe, right? And I am breaking the fucking rules right now.
Okay.
Kayfabe is what is true canonically, right? Story wise within the universe of the pro wrestling thing, which is in this universe. That's the problem,
Right.
Right.
This is the overall canon that has to be respected.
Right.
Okay.
So when you break kayfabe, what you're doing is you're interacting with the world in a way that your character would not interact.
Okay.
And it's breaking the fourth wall.
How does that
You know
rule
what I
work
mean?
when you're just fucking out somewhere?
Oh, when I'm out somewhere, I'm Devin,
Okay.
right? I'm Devin Cook in restaurants.
They don't have like
at
a
Rex.
wrestling inspector that's like, look at that. See, you had a character over there at the Red Lobster.
Vince
Right?
McMahon
That's not at
is
all
walking around
how he would eat those
constantly.
cheddar biscuits. You're way out of character.
But if I'm at an Applebee's in my purple hat with a fuzzy jacket on, you better believe I'm going to eat a lobster tail the way that Jerry Ulrich would
From
eat
the
a
top rope, lobster
rip
tail.
it out the shell, right, with my hands
Screaming
and
the
then,
whole time.
and just drop it in my mouth,
then
like
you
throw it
got
up
it.
in the air and catch it,
And then call 5 people nice people. Like, you're a nice guy. Hey, look at you. I like your vibe.
spit the butter on the window, and wipe it off with a napkin.
I do that and I'm out of character. I just spit it on the window, regardless. So, describe who your character is. What's your...
Jerry Ulrich, he's a man of make believe. You know, it's like he's very positive. He loves Brody Stevens' energy. He kind of just tries to bring it out everywhere he can.
Brody Stevens today?
Brody Stevens,
His
Because his energy today is
his current energy,
It's everywhere.
his current, he's the resounding effect of Brody Stevens' energy. I'd like to think. Him and Colt Cabana are the two currently out there doing it, spreading the message of positive energy, pushing and believing. You
Right.
know, calling people good guys. It's a lot of fun.
right.
Try to keep it fun. You know?
Now, I said earlier before we were recording that wrestling wasn't real, and you took umbrage with that.
I can field this question to keep your kayfabe. And wrestling's real enough.
I mean, it's something that happens.
I'll tell you what. Garrison Creed really kicked Jerry Ulricher in the face several times.
It happened. You
Right.
know,
What's your most severe injury?
most severe injury.
Because jokes aside, I mean, I know it's a physical act. It's a physical thing going on out there that you could get fucked up, and I mean, people died doing it.
It's the stupidest thing. I can't actually believe. Like, I was mad when it happened because I didn't know what was going on. I was just kind of nervous, and I was like, "Okay, be careful now." Like, but someone grabbed me by the head to direct me where to go. But when they did it, they like palm slapped either side of my head
Boxed your ears.
and boxed my ears. And I went deaf in one ear. Like, they put a perforation in my ear, and I was like, "Oh, all of a sudden I can't hear."
was
Like, that's
definitely
cool.
like
Was that like an accident, or was he like
It was
being a
totally
dick?
accidental.
Okay.
It was not on purpose. He was like getting into character. We were doing a practice thing, and it was just like he was just he had all the energy.
was feeling
you know?
it.
Right.
He was feeling it. He was doing the thing because you got to get. We don't discuss acting methods really, but you can see people getting pretty method. Like, and it's wild if you. So he was getting into it for the sake of getting into it, and
Right.
and yeah, because you're supposed to. That's how you do it.
Right.
It's
box.
I know you're a fan of firearms. Would you be interested in a lightly used pair of range earmuffs? Because that's what he had to use for band practice after he lost
your ear
half
was
his hearing.
Because you
No
can't put
shit.
Put stuff
earplugs in.
there. So he was all goofy wearing the big DJ headphones.
Holy shit!
The,
So are you good now? I mean,
Yeah.
Thank God.
It healed up. And they were like, yeah, you can fall down as much as you want now. You're good to go.
good.
That's honestly the most worried I think I've been in a band. Is like,
Right.
things
So-
are going well, and now my bassist is deaf.
I was so fucking mad. So mad.
So tell me what you guys do as a band involved with wrestling. I know you do.
So since he started wrestling, and it's actually I kind of want to point out that I used to be a pretty big wrestling hater.
Okay.
Honestly, I thought the whole thing was bullshit. I was like, why are rednecks wasting their time with this stupid sport? Oh my gosh, the homoeroticism already. Will you rednecks just please kiss and stop putting money into Vince McMahon's pocket? Totally missing the point.
Right.
So when he started getting back into wrestling, he started bringing wrestling DVDs into the home.
Okay.
And then we may or may not have been imbibing in, some combusted plant material. And he's like, hey, check this out. You're going to love this. Is Raw from like 2006. And I'm like, okay, come on. Seriously, we're going to watch wrestling. That's what we're going to do right now.
Yeah. Check
And
it
then
out.
we watched wrestling.
Right.
And then I started getting into wrestling. And I started being like, oh, holy shit. This is like insane Romeo and Juliet. This is ridiculous Shakespeare. This is the best thing I've ever seen in my life. Like,
You know?
I gotta try it again. I guess.
you start.
See, I can explain to you what got me into it.
Okay. Do that.
It was like when I was watching Lucha Underground, it was like the stories got super mythological. And I
Is
was
this
like,
it's a cartoon, right?
no.
What was
This
Lucha
is-
Underground? I'm thinking of something else.
It's on
Mexican wrestling.
El Rey Network.
Okay.
And it's a wrestling show
Okay.
where God, it's so hard to explain. It's
Is it like a luchador rom-com? What is
kinda.
No
It's
shit.
it's like
that's wrestling.
it's straight up. This show is lit like Law and Order SVU. Every
Really?
scene is like it's got that lighting. Where
It's
you're
not a
like,
reality show.
And it's just super dramatic, right? And it's like the scenes of like in the office, like the lights peeking through the window. He's like having a scotch. He's like a knock on the door. He's like, "Come in," you know. The guy comes in. He's like, "This is bullshit, man. I came in here to fight, not to sit around."
Oh, so it is
What-
based on wrestling. It's not like
Well, it is
luchadors
right, it
just
is
right, it is.
wrestling.
solving
But-
crimes or some shit.
But it's
right?
well,
It's wrestling Telemundo. It's very, very
It's
over
amazing.
dramatic, and
Like
they
you-
can call on dark energies and
totally. They've got
get extra power from
sorceress
like
rocks.
sorcery
Some are
things.
from outer space. Like some of them are dragons.
Plenty
like, it's a
of
whole
masked
thing.
men.
It's
Holy
awesome.
shit.
Yeah.
And he's got like these special medallions that like hold power or whatever. It's great. So they're fighting for those, and it's
right.
But yeah. So then he drags me into classic wrestling, and then he starts wrestling. So there's nothing I can do but support. And then he's like, "Hey, there's this wrestler named Ricky the Renaissance Norrin," and I said, "Reggie the Ricochet Rocket." And he's Ricky the Renaissance Norrin. He's like an artist thing. He's doing something called The Review, and he wants us.
Did you not recognize who it was? Like
I don't know that I met him.
you never met?
I don't. I honestly
Which is
like.
funny at the same time. When
which is
I
funny.
saw a picture of him from that comedy era, and I was like, I look like this picture looks like I should be in it because it was Daryl from that time. There's
Yeah.
Andrew, Will
Andrew
guy who got his
Carpenter.
haircut. Andrew Carpenter. Thank you, love him. And there's deflated Ricky Norrin. There's like scrawny non wrestler body comic Ricky Norrin.
Right.
What's funny to me is I actually
I
met
never
him.
had seen him before.
I met him at Galactic Pizza, right? Because I was there, and as like one of my
Not even through wrestling.
Not even through
stand-up
wrestling.
comedy.
I was like there for like one of my
Another
second or
wrestler.
third weeks in comedy, and he was up there, and I heard him from the stage going, "I'm a pro wrestler," and I was like, "What? Fuck you!" Like right off the bat, because I was like, "I know what I'm doing," right?
Right.
And he got off the stage and started chain wrestling me, and I was like, "Yeah, I'm in the right place. I know what's going on." Like, this is a good
You
guy.
guys didn't know you guys were wrestlers going into there, and you
No.
guys went into character. Is that
Yeah, we just took it because
is this wrestle behavior? Is this
he's-
wrestler? Is this what you guys do?
we do that. We do that a lot.
Holy shit.
Physical fighting improv.
Like before the show, some of the young guys that aren't on the shows yet will come and help set up the ring,
Right.
and everyone that's on the show will walk around fucking just chopping and punching the shit out of them like all day for no reason. That's just what they're doing.
Right. It's like a hazing?
Yeah, kinda, but
Holy shit.
they give it back a little bit, and like it's a fun thing actually.
That chops aren't that bad.
My character definitely
practice
doesn't
chops.
like it.
So when you perform, do you guys perform at the wrestling events too? Music?
So how that breaks down, you know, we first we thought we were just featuring on an episode of the Renaissance Review,
Right.
which was, you know, the first
explain,
ever.
explain to the listeners who have no idea what that is. What the
It's
review
it's
is.
the first ever wrestling talk show live performed on stage. It's improv. We have stand-up comedians. We've had a whole lot of really great stand-ups.
Really great stand-ups.
Does he make it available online, or is it like you
Yeah,
have to go
actually,
there?
all the episodes are on almost all the episodes are on YouTube. On Ricky the Renaissance Noren's YouTube channel, but you can just look up the Renaissance Review, Ricky Noren Wrestling, Mr. Rogers and the Make Believe Friends. Type all that in the search bar. You'll probably
I'll put links to
find
that
it.
on the episode, so
Absolutely.
it's easier for
Heck
people.
yeah.
There you go. Just go right from there. Let Joey do the work for you.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
the Filter Free America promise.
The Filter Free America promise.
So we did one show where with them where I believe we got the sound cut off on us by the end of our set.
Yeah, we sure did.
Which does not matter because we have voices that can fill the black box
Phoenix
theaters.
Theater.
Was that a protest cutting out the sound, or was that just?
I think they were
We
like
went a little long.
we were told we could go till basically midnight, and it was like 3 minutes to midnight. And honestly, the one person working the theater, and we don't want to besmirch the Phoenix because they've since apparently asked us back, which I can't understand because I thought they hated us. The one person working there was maybe a little surly and wanted to go home and was kind of tired of our antics. So, but
Which I
we
understand.
pushed through. We pushed. We believed. We you got it.
You got it.
And just did the rest of this. We cut the song a little bit short and did the rest off mic, just screaming our heads off, which
Yeah.
we do anyway. So it
We were
wasn't a
gonna
big
do
deal.
that.
But then they're like, "Hey, do you want to just be the house band?" And we're like, "House band is kind of our jam because
Yeah,
we
we
had
kinda do
just
that.
done." Basically, we had done our first full house band gig with Todd Glass
Right.
over in
Yeah.
Hopkins, and we were like, "Fuck it, we're a house band now. Let's
Right,
do
that's
that."
what we
I want
do.
to ask you about
Yeah.
the Todd Glass relationship next, but does the wrestling? Do you guys ever combine the two at the same time? Like, are you on stage and like you have
that's-
to
going.
battle
And
somebody?
That's kind of where I'm driving at here because we
Okay.
got the Minsky Theater show, September 22nd, Minsky Theater. We're combining live music, pro wrestling. And that's kind of it.
That's what we're gonna be doing. Yep.
No shit.
So then the Renaissance Review, it's spawned this wrestling show where we're kind of bringing back all these characters from the wrestling. You know, all these they're all their own characters, but they've all been a part of the Renaissance Review in some fashion.
Yeah.
From our different locations, and we're having a full ring wrestling show. And we're gonna be house band in it.
House
And
band.
Jerry Allricher will be competing in some fashion, but it is unannounced as to how that's going
We're
to
gonna
play
find
out.
out who my competitor is, and
we're gonna
I'm gonna
mystery.
compete with him.
You guys should put your spot in the band up as like a belt. You know, like wrestling. Somebody else could be the new. You got to wrestle your way into the band.
Oh no!
I'd like to announce publicly that I did not agree to that.
Yeah. Russell Rogue as my bassist. I don't know how I can feel
No.
about that. I mean, shit.
What?
Wait, can you edit that out? I just gave away a massive spoiler.
No one's listening.
That's fine.
So tell me how you met Glass. How you met?
So we started by essentially, I think it was basically just by submitting. Like we were in studio recording.
Submitting him like a wrestling move? Is that
Yeah,
Yeah,
we-
yeah.
Oh,
we-
okay.
I got him
we-
in the. I got them in the
ran up
laundry,
to him
got
at
him in,
Acme.
and tapped him the fuck out, like the little bitch he is.
I'm gonna send this to him. So, but no, we were sending in. We were recording demos in studio,
Right.
and we're like, well, we got extra time. Let's record a Todd Glass jingle because the Todd Glass show is famous for its jingles,
Yeah.
and we wanted a piece of that action. So we sent him some stuff. It all got played, pretty sure, and then basically it was like, hey, you know, he's always looking for a band when he's coming to town. I hit him up. He was doing Acme like 4 years ago or whatever, and it ended up not working out. But he's like, here, I'll hook you up with some free tickets to the show. And he did. This is the last time he was at Acme, and this is like the triumphant return to Acme now coming up here. But it was not quite the right show because he didn't like I said, he didn't have space for the band, so that's why he didn't book me. Instead, just gave me some free tickets. But
Right.
they had Acme staff running the iPad and trying to do kind of Todd Glass shtick with that, and it wasn't quite right. So it's exciting now that we get to actually go back to Acme and right the Todd Glass wrongs by doing it proper.
Right.
But so actually,
How do they set that up? Because anybody who's been to Acme, it's a tight fit.
Yeah, it sure
that's
is.
why it's
maximized chair sitting.
we're getting a real trim band. Everyone in the band's gotta
Are
be
you on
like
stage?
we're not. On
Okay, so
stage.
you're just like
I
off
don't
stage.
believe we're gonna be able to make that happen. We're gonna be right off stage. Kind of in our own little made-up band pit is what we like to do usually. But I digress because I actually didn't even talk to Todd at that Acme show because I was with my friend at the end of the Acme bar and he was making his way down, and then he sees me with a girl and he's like, "Well, I'll leave them alone." And I'm like, "Too late. Never mind. I'm just gonna bask in this moment." But I hit him up and we just kind of made a continual contact, occasionally sending jingles, having him play on the show. And then he came back.
When you guys perform, are you guys going to be like he's on stage and you're interacting with him, or is it just like an opening thing?
Well, it's kind of like if you've seen his Netflix special, that's exactly kind of the same vibe. Where the bands, we kind of, I believe, in the past we've opened the show with
A number.
with a little number. Just kind of intro everything, and then we intro the they do the announcements, first comic, blah blah blah. I don't know if there's gonna be a second comic or whatever, but then we play Todd Glass's intro. He comes out real big. He'll do a couple of shtick bits with the band. He'll go into some of his acts. There's specific parts that he wants scored with different music to really sell it. He'll start going on a tirade, and then he'll you'll get this big da 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 right behind.
I guess I gotta watch it. I've seen him perform regular stand up, but I've never. I guess I need to check out his special.
This is the apex of Todd's mind. This is exactly how he wants it. Well, he wants it with like an 80-piece brass
He'd
band,
like
but
to
we
have an
couldn't
80-piece
fit
brass
that
band.
in Acme. Well, we could. We couldn't have an audience.
Yeah, that's true.
Which I'd be all right with. I mean, that'd be a great Netflix special right there. Todd and just a band.
Todd Glass and his band.
Todd Glass and the Todd Glass Band.
They can't clap because they're busy playing
Right.
Yeah.
music, so
Most
that'd be
of
a
them,
little awkward there.
Like the chorus of singers would be fine. They could
Yeah, they could do it.
Oh,
hold it down.
So are you going to eventually go on the road with him, or is it just like he picks out bands
This
everywhere
is
he goes, or what's
where he can get them? He I'm sure he's got maybe 4 bands across the United, like at least that I've heard of, like, or that he consistently works with. And
Is
he
it all
has-
kind
he
of
has
a
his-
weird style like yours, or is it?
No. Initially, actually, like the first year that I ended up working with Todd after that, he was just going to have me, he got booked for the quote unquote Hopkins Comedy Festival, which was actually kind of just a ruse to have Todd come play. Okay. Like, oh, you're going to headline our festival. Gotta make a festival. Which was basically a week of regular shows at the now closed Royal Comedy Theater, and then a headlining set of Todd Glass at the Children's Theater in Hopkins.
Okay.
Where they did, or I think it was 3 shows that Todd was there for at least. The first night it goes over. Apparently Todd wasn't happy with some things, so he calls me for the second night that he didn't have me booked for because he was just going to have me and a regular band. He was doing like 10-minute spots for these nights or whatever.
Right.
And then he was going to do his big headline set on that Sunday or whatever at the theater with the full band, which was like a jazz duo that he had pulled out that apparently weren't actually Todd Glass fans, but their buddy was and had recommended them. So then I was kind of put in as the ringer of like someone who actually knows what's going on.
Right.
But he called me on the second night. He's like, "Can you come down here? Because we got to do some changes." And so he had me set up with an acoustic guitar and the top hat and all black, and just sit at the entrance and just play acoustic guitar as people are filing in, just to give it ambiance. Todd's all about that ambiance. He wants the club experience to be.
I'm definitely going to watch that special tonight.
You gotta
I wasn't
act
even aware.
happy
Oh, you
on
got to
Netflix.
see it. Act
It's great.
happy.
So from there, and I actually brought Devin along as I was like, Todd, can I bring a roadie? It'll just make things even cleaner and easier and simpler for you. And Todd, like as everyone does, Todd automatically loved Devin. So I go on to like
my dog loved you immediately.
Yeah.
immediately. But I went on. We did that headline set, and I just played bongos on stage or whatever. But then the next year it was like, hey Todd, let me put the band together for you. Like people who actually know like the podcast and your kind of style and material. And so we pulled together a trio over.
Do you guys work out bits beforehand together?
Yeah. We do a rehearsal day beforehand, but we kind of already.
I mean, I'm
know
talking
how
about with
it
Todd.
goes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. We're gonna
It'll take some time.
We do a little just kind of setup, so we know where, because his set is ever evolving, of course, but he still has kind of standards that we know.
Or does he let you kind of write and create too, or is it just like, here, do this, and then?
It's more collaborative than any one of us probably would expect. He's open to like ideas, and he's done our jokes, which obviously never go over quite as well as if it's an original time. Well, the thing is that he tried. He tried
What
one
a
of our
cool
famous
experience for a
blackouts.
band, though. I
Right.
mean, that's not
Same.
every band is doing anything like that. That's a whole different.
They say that all comedians want to be musicians, and all musicians want to be comedians. Well,
That-
fuck
yeah,
it,
we
why not
are.
both? we're just gonna do it at both at the same time. So, like, it's nice that I had nice solid stand-up experience, which for me as a musician was just like working out stage muscles that you didn't know that you had.
Plus, when you're collaborating with him, that's got to to think like him,
Right? Yeah.
Maybe not at his caliber of a level,
Yeah,
but you know the brain process. You know what
Right.
he's thinking as far as how jokes work, and you understand timing and things like that.
And I've seen enough stand-up comedy to be completely jaded and not get hypnotized by the actual show, because we have to. It's weird. It is some of the hardest actual band work that I think we've ever done.
Yeah.
Because you have to be 100% focused on the show,
Right.
at every moment.
The experience of
from
what's
beginning to
happening.
end, you're on stage.
Because you're waiting for a cue from him
Yeah.
or
Right.
something like that, so you
Right.
got to be on it.
So we have to. We're out there before the comics get on, and we're still on stage after the comics leave. Okay. So like last year, we get out there, we play our thing. Jamie Blanchard comes out. He does his whole set.
Awesome comic.
A great comic, great guy. And he's a consummate professional. So I don't know if this is breaking comedy code, but he's doing the exact same set every night, and it's killing every night. Of course, he's
it's
a working
wonderful.
fucking comic, and that's what you do. But we're sitting there going, "Oh yeah, we just like night 2, we just realized, oh, we're gonna have to hear this 7 times."
Right. And you got to act natural.
Right, and you
Every
got to
single time.
just be quiet. You got to be supportive. You can't act bored.
Right.
Act
But
happy. Act happy. That's the
Right.
name of the special. Because that's what he says to the band. Act happy.
Act happy.
But be the fuck quiet, because he's telling jokes, and we're not his band. Todd will get possessive.
And by night 4, you really got the face down that you want to use for not looking upset that he's flipping you off again.
Right.
You know what I mean?
The same. He's like, I don't know why. At the end of the run, he's like, I don't know why I didn't do the bit with the middle finger the other way. Right. The first night, I was like, I always do it this way. There's the band. Maybe I shouldn't be flipping them off the whole time. I don't know. And then every night, he proceeded to just. He's like, by the end, I didn't know if I was flicking off the guy in the joke or just like, fuck you, band. You have to hear this one again.
Is there
Nothing you can do about it.
Is there any opportunity for you guys to start going on the road with him? That would be.
It would be great. Like I said, he kind of picks up bands where he can.
Right.
I'd be happy right now, even just to be able to meet him out in Madison and do those dates as well. I'd be
Yeah.
totally down for that.
That'd
And
be
we were
Yeah,
talking,
just covering like regionally at least,
right.
you know?
Well, we
Yeah.
were talking like if we're out on the road and it's literally like, oh, we booked another show out this way. It's in like a week. But also we could meet Todd over halfway and do like a weekish show, 5 days shows with him or 3 shows with him,
Right.
wherever he's at. Like that'd be super awesome for us.
Right.
Like being able to use that for extra shows on the road to just keep us moving. And also if we doing multiple nights of one place, we can actually hang out for like a minute before we have to run to another city like tours normally like.
Are you guys close to, or have you ever recorded something as far as like an album or an EP level at least? Something?
Not in this band. So
Okay.
my last projects all burnt me out on studio recording basically, because I ended up living in a recording studio for far too long, and basically that's all I was doing is editing and recording and editing and trying to make albums. And now Devin will tell you, for the longest time, I was just adverse to any sort of recording at all.
Absolutely didn't want to do it.
Didn't want to do it. And then it was finally like, well, let's put out like a single with maybe like a B-side. And B-side still hasn't quite panned out, but it's like, well, the B-side has ended up being the Paper Planes live video instead.
And after I said that, that kind of makes sense. You guys, to really appreciate the band, you guys need a visual
Right.
component
It's a lot more fun live for us.
Right.
And that's kind of always like for the first maybe 2.5 years of this band, we had very little to no social media presence. We didn't promote what we were doing. We were kind of the band that would show up, and we would be on the bill, and people would be like, well, what the hell is going on? And then by the end of the show, they were like, well, that was amazing. Where can we find you? Do you have music out? And we're like, nope. Come see us next time we're at a show somewhere that we won't announce.
Look for our name.
Just look for us.
Do you guys do merch or anything to help get
so
some
as of yet, we have almost no merch. Now Jerry's got a little bit of wrestling merch.
Nice.
Tiny bit.
Tiny bit of wrestling merch.
It's almost all sold or given away because Jerry's kind of a sweetheart and doesn't know how to ask for money.
I can't charge people money for things,
especially
in
in character.
bones.
How is Jerry Ulricher supposed to actually get money? From
very
people
much
for his
so.
work?
That's
why I have to be there for the merch table.
It really does. I need his
I'm
help.
ruthless.
We're a team. We're twins. It's not ideal.
It's not ideal.
So, what else we want to cover before we throw out to the music?
I feel like we've got like 3 open threads here still hanging on.
Yeah.
Because
Did I cover everything as far as what you're doing musically? Because you got the Todd Glass show, you're doing the wrestling.
So we just
shows.
put out the single now, Overflowing, and it's blowing up on Facebook, and we're trying to get it to blow up on YouTube, but YouTube's a son of a bitch.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're looking forward to more recording. But
is that going to be one of the songs you're going to let me play in this episode?
Yeah, Overflowing is the song we're definitely playing here, and if I can quickly get something else that I have in my pocket, like sounding decent enough, I want to maybe tag that on somewhere. I don't know.
Did we figure out if we can play the cover?
So that's real tricky. I mean, technically speaking, the worst that's going to happen in terms of YouTube.
I don't even want to put that on. What I want to tell is tell them where they can find the video.
Go to YouTube.
I really want to see the video.
Watch the Paper Planes music video / in studio live performance. I checked. It's the best Paper Planes cover. Period. Like I checked. The rest are really bad.
Yeah, there's a lot of really bad ones.
They really pissed me off, and I think we nailed it.
What's the channel? What's the best way for them?
Mr. Rogers and the Make Believe Friends on YouTube. I think YouTube / Mr. Rogers Make Believe Friends. I'm not sure.
And I'll take you to your channel where that video is.
Right. And if you look it up, Mr. Rogers and the Make Believe Friends, we do actually appear. I've been testing on people's devices that aren't affiliated or oversaturated with.
Do you appear in regular Mr. Rogers searches too?
Not all of them.
Okay.
But sometimes we'll get tagged in some random Mr. Rogers, Instagram-y shit. Best place to really keep up with like all the stuff we're doing is our Instagram. It's Mr. Rogers Make Believe Friends on Instagram. If you look up Mr. Rogers and the Make Believe Friends, there's a very healthy hashtag there that you can click that will also lead you right to us, where you can see dates like September 22nd at the Minsky Theater. Or Todd Glass featuring Mr. Rogers and the Make Believe Friends, the 17th through the 21st.
Okay.
But yeah, I think you were kind of asking about like if he books weird bands like us. Like
right.
we're not necessarily playing our music for this. We're again tailoring our set to what is required of us.
But are you not your characters when you're working?
We have been. I mean, it's difficult for Jerry because he's such a colorful individual, and
you can't show up Todd, right?
Yeah, Todd likes all black, but we might have some discussions on that.
The band members all black,
all black.
All black.
No white band members.
No, I have to appear in blackface.
Should be.
See, we're twins. It's not ideal.
It's not ideal. See, it's not offensive for me to do blackface because we're twins.
Right.
It's not ideal.
His face is already black.
Right.
But yeah, so we're again catering to what is necessary to get the job done, and that's the Make Believe motto.
I want to ask a couple other things. Yeah. What's the drug policy for the band?
Excessive.
excessive.
Yeah, we drug test everyone to make sure they're taking enough.
If you're not taking drugs, you can't be in the
You
band.
can't be in the
It's like an
band.
identifier test. You know what flavor mushroom this is?
I know because I know even if Todd's not going to make it this far, even if he does listen.
He's not gonna
I took acid for the final Todd Glass show last year, and I'm now admitting that. I took so you know show day. You've got nothing to do for like 9 hours because you couldn't sleep well because you're like, it's show day. But every day that week is show day, but it's still the same. So I'm at home with nothing to do and a big old bottle of liquid acid in the fridge. I'm like, well, I could take a very tiny microdose.
A little bit.
And just kind of like, it'll just
taste
cool
it.
my anxiety about the final show of the week.
Just take the edge off.
I'll just take the edge off. Turned out to be not so micro as I had anticipated. And I was the one driving the carpool of the band to the show.
Right.
So I think Devin shows up and I'm like, hey, are you ready to go? He's like, yeah, I'm ready to go. I'm like, great. I'm on acid. Get in the car.
I was like,
Or
smart.
did I tell you on the highway?
I think you told me.
I
on
might
the
have told you
highway.
on the highway.
I think we got going.
That's not a nice thing to do to a person, by the way. But I was still on my way up, so I could handle it as long as I didn't talk. Or
You'd think I would have been freaking out, but I was like, oh really?
Seems like this
Okay.
is pretty. This just seems like normal life. This is part of the course here.
This guy sure hasn't swerved a lot for someone who's on acid. That's interesting.
So then
You're actually driving better. It's
Must
weird.
not be very good.
So then I picked up Cool Steve, the keyboard player for that gig.
Oh, you got a
Steve.
keyboard guy too.
We
huh?
did for that one because we had a
Okay.
lot of room
We had
at
the
the
room.
Royal.
Gotcha.
Now we have a keyboard, but less players.
Yeah.
But so honestly, Todd Glass as an individual makes a whole lot more sense when you're tripping on acid. I'll tell you. Yeah,
I can see that.
He's a comforting presence.
Yeah.
He's great to be around, especially when you're just a little bit too tripping for the situation.
I don't know. He's got that face that may turn like a rubbery, scary face.
Oh, I don't know. Rubbery.
if anything, I feel like he'd turned into like a velvety muppety kind of a
Yeah.
thing, and you're like, I need a hug. Todd, can you give me a hug? And he would. And he'd mush your face. You're like, oh, you coochie coo.
It felt like all green lights. Like we were after the show, we were just sitting there in the hotel like sitting
Also,
area
That was
having
probably
food.
also because the green room he'd changed all the lights to green.
Yeah, the man's constantly changing bulbs and putting gels on lights.
What's the green? What's the?
Well, he likes blue, but the blue made it look weird down there. So
Yeah,
they
the
put green
food
in
This
was
is why I use
unappetizing
mostly
and
green
blue.
here.
Right.
Interesting.
Yeah,
So it's not like a ritualistic thing for him, or
He
it's
just
just
doesn't like lights too bright, you know.
Honestly, I think bright lights. Like he may have an actual problem. He's very insistent. He's like, I just want things to look casual and look like kind of sexy and just like low lighting. Okay, I just want to light a candle on the table and that's it. Like we were in the hotel celebrating the show. We go into the little sitting area and he unscrews the light bulb in the booth ahead.
so he just carries his own bulbs with him. And it's like
he just
he
lit a
unscrewed
candle.
that one.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
he brought his own candle actually.
Yeah, that's true.
And he lit that and he just unscrewed the bulb. But we were sitting there and there's like a soccer match on the TV and I'm still tripping. And we're kind of all just looking at the soccer match and I'm just like, feeling all green lights from top.
but you're the only one tripping.
yeah, only one.
And
Selfish.
Devin's the only one. Oh, no, Zach Lewis knew too as well.
Oh, no,
cool,
I wouldn't-
Cool Steve knew.
I don't like to take
This guy-
LSD.
this
I
guy-
had bad experiences.
Just LSD, or you like straight edge?
No, I'm not straight edge.
Okay.
I just don't like to hallucinate. You know, so anything that might cause me to hallucinate, I'm gonna try to avoid.
But what if life was truly the hallucination and you actually see the real world when you trip?
That's the thing about LSD that I don't like. Yeah.
The possibilities.
No, it's not the possibilities. It's the lack of possibilities. It's all as true as it is false. Fucking literally everything is possible. So it all is true. I don't. You know what I mean? There's no reason to not believe anything anyone says because it's as likely as it has happened, as likely as it has not. Like fucking.
I can respect that.
You know what I mean?
I can respect that.
It's like I don't believe or disbelieve anything anyone says.
I totally respect that. Zach, you need to go ahead and slip it in his drink. Apparently, is what you're gonna have to do.
That's all I'm saying.
Well, I told you, there was a while where I had a jar of just liquid, acid water. And so there was a good period of time where Devin couldn't touch any of the glasses in my house for fear of accidentally.
I wouldn't do it.
No
He
shit.
wouldn't, yeah, he
No.
wouldn't drink in my house.
I'm already afraid that I'm like I'm gonna do something that's gonna cause an acid flashback, or like that the acid hasn't worn off and I'm still tripping.
Right.
I'm gonna wake up tomorrow like fuck, I missed work, and I hate that feeling.
For
so
for a while, I would consider Devin as someone who, if he just took a big hit of weed and was coughing, would grab any source of water around him. He didn't give a fuck. Then all of a sudden, I'm like, hey, I got this jug of acid water. All right, I ain't touching any of your dishes. You keep that shit to yourself.
to yourself, sir.
Gotcha.
What,
Just not acid, right? That's the only.
It just
Mushrooms?
I haven't had a single good experience on acid. The only time mushrooms worked, I had a bad experience. Every other time I ate bunk mushrooms and they were fun. You know what I mean?
Right.
You ever eat a bunch of bunk mushrooms? You get high like you smoked a bunch of weed you didn't smoke.
I
And you're like,
don't think I've ever had a bad mushroom.
I haven't been fucking stoned like this in forever. Like that's what I got from mushrooms until one time I got good mushrooms and I fucking was alone. And I fucking blasted off like I was on acid and got caught in cycles, and I didn't have a good time.
Oh shit! Do you wrestle high?
High on what?
On I don't know if I'm asking you to say something you might get in trouble for.
I mean-
I think
Can
Jerry
you-
Ulrich is always tripping
Always.
consistently.
Third eye's ripped wide open.
So you don't have to. Are wrestlers allowed to be high on marijuana when wrestling?
I mean, that's kind of up to them and who they're wrestling.
Okay,
you
there's
know?
not like a drug test or sanctioning.
No.
body
It's more what you consider to be safe. You know.
Okay.
We're independent contractors, so our level of workplace safety is on us to kind of police.
Yeah,
Right.
OSHA can suck
You
it.
know.
God.
We have our own code of silence, like police do. We don't have a code of silence.
So, anything else we need to cover as far as on the episode?
I think. I mean, unless we really want to dig into a good old Devin acid story, he's scratched the surface. But that depends on how much you value the storytelling.
What's the story?
Well. Who the third one?
The third time?
So that's my favorite one because I do tell a joke about this.
Okay.
Like but I won't do the punchline because it would be chaotic.
Are you doing stand up now too?
Yeah,
Like, still?
I do.
Okay.
I also do. Currently, I do stand up.
I haven't been to an open mic in months now, so I don't know who's
feel
out
it.
there.
It's easy to not go to those.
Right.
But the third time I took acid, I was in the Quad Cities. You familiar?
Yeah. Oh,
I
yeah.
love the Quad Cities. All my favorite bands are from there. And one of my favorite bands was putting out an album, and I went to go see the album release show, which is always fucking a huge thing, and it's great.
Right.
But afterwards, there was like an after party at someone's house. There was a bonfire, and the band that I was playing with, the first one that I was playing with that I got kicked out of, was there, and they're still my favorite band. So I was like, fucking, I got to see this acoustic set.
Right.
So I went there, and a bunch of people were on acid, and I was just inquisitive as to where to find it, you know. And I chimed up, and someone was like, "Oh, hey, follow me," you know, like a fucking elf or whatever.
Acid elf.
So we went to his trunk, and he pulled out some acid, like a sheet, and he ripped off a tab. I was like, "I should be up front. I don't have any money." And he was like, "Nah, that's cool." And he gave it to me.
Where do you find these wonderful people?
The Quad Cities, man. It's the best place in the world. But there was it had Bernie Sanders' face on it, so I trusted it completely. Right? How could this go wrong? And this is the least amount
That's how
of
the right's
acid.
going to kill all the left off. It's going
Bernie
to just be a
Sanders
bunch of
cats.
fucking Warren and fucking Bernie Sanders art on
Tide Pods.
acid. It's just poison.
Yeah, absolutely. That's how we're gonna go out. But I took it, and then I went back to the fucking bonfire, and the set like ended, like it wrapped up almost immediately. And they were like, "All right, let's go back to the house." And I was like, "Okay, I just took acid. Who's driving? Peter, do you want to drive?" And he was like, "Yeah, that's fine." So he drove us back, and it like kicked in on the way.
Right.
So we got there, and people hung out for a little bit, but it just went the fuck to bed on me. Like, they all went to sleep because they were tired. They weren't on acid. I was. And so now I'm tripping in someone's house alone
Right.
with a bunch of sleeping people who, over the course of the night, kind of look like a weird rock and roll family and kind of look like a bunch of people I murdered. You know what I mean? Like it goes back and forth.
Right.
And it's weird. And I find myself sitting in this broken office chair where it's like poking me in the back and I feel like I'm being stabbed, but I'm not getting up. Why don't I just get up?
Why would you?
Why would I get up?
No, 'cause
what
you're
happens?
there.
I might die. You don't know. Staring at art. It's weird. And then I ended up smoking all of my own dabs. I had a gram of hash oil that I like burned through, and then someone else's as well. And then I was just drinking water from the faucet like crazy. Couldn't get enough nicotine in my system. Was just freaking out, waiting for the sun to come up so I could go outside. Because for some reason
You couldn't go out in the dark.
that's what holds you back, right?
Right.
It's the sun. You got to go out when the sun's out because that's when the monsters go away. But so I
see why you don't do acid now.
Yeah, I don't like it.
It
It's
makes
not
me
good
want to
for me.
not do it again.
like, and I had to pee so bad. And there's nothing I could do because I couldn't find the light switch for the bathroom, right?
Jesus.
So I'm just like, I peed on the back porch because it was like it wasn't outside, but it was almost outside, and there was nothing really out there, and it felt safe.
Right.
And then eventually, I guess people like the sun came up, and I went out for a walk. This is what I remember. I don't know if this is true, but I went for a walk, and there was like a funeral home on the first block that I was walking down. So he was like straight out to an alley, which is like just a weird looking place. And then you're walking through, and then there's this fucking funeral home. My friend had just died, so I was kind of looking in from the to see if I could see through the window
To
from
see
the
if he was in
sidewalk,
there?
to see if he was in there. Of
course.
And of course he wasn't, but I was like, he's not in there. But is he in there? But he's not. But is he? And I was just keep walking, man. Just keep walking. So I got to the end of the block, which was a stoplight, where there was a car in the right turn lane, and they had been there since the beginning of the block, and I got nervous. So I walked up to them to see if they were okay. And it was an old lady in a car, and she went, "Bah!" and turned and went finally. And I was like, all right, I guess that solves that. She's fine. And I just kept walking. And then after a while, I was like, where am I walking to? And turned around and went back. But like, as I was getting back, people were coming out of their houses, and I was starting to see the cycles of life, and it was tripping me the fuck out. And the neighbors, like the house next door to this place, was having their like a new sidewalk put in.
Okay.
And there was just all these construction workers, and I don't know what it was about these particular construction workers, but they looked fucking dumb. And I was on acid. Looked really stupid to me, and I was like, look at those idiots. Oh my God. I was like, I bet I look stupid because
It was one of those things like you're thinking you're saying it to yourself in your head, but you're really saying it directly to them.
could have been anything.
Look at these dumb motherfuckers right here.
But also a second before that, I had the epiphany that my vape pen was not helping me because it was like my nicotine vape pen because it was out of juice, and I didn't know where I put my juice, and I needed
Is
to
it
breathe.
juice or juice? Which one? Is it?
Juice.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Sorry, like Juice Robinson. But I was out of it. I didn't know where I'd put it, and like I was hitting it trying to like calm my anxiety or something.
Right.
And I realized it wasn't going to help. I had like an epiphany, like a life-changing moment. I held it up to the sun and smashed it on the ground, and then construction workers, what a bunch of fucking idiots, right? Like. So I went up to say, hi, how's it going?
You bunch of idiots. How's it going?
You fucking idiots. What are you doing? Building a sidewalk? That's crazy. What's all this gray stuff in this barrel? And I stuck my hands in it, looked at it, went, that's nuts, and went inside. Like, but then I guess that's when people were waking up, and that's when I checked out completely. Because someone came out of their room and went, well... It's weird because I remember it, but it's from a different part of the memory.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it's like they don't connect. Like that may have been way earlier in the day. Like my brain imagined the sun came up so I could go outside. And then but either way, at some point I was having a tough time letting the acid be acid. Which it was the whole time, right? But I was having a tough time with it, and I realized, Rick and Morty style, I was in a simulation inside a simulation inside a simulation. The only way to get the aliens to stop looking at me is to take off my fucking pants and underwear, right? So I did precisely that, and I was free. I was gone. I don't know if I went to sleep or blacked out or whatever, but what apparently ended up happening was Jeremy came out of his bedroom and was like, "Hey, Devin, nice penis." And I was just sitting on the couch. And I got up, started peeing on the couch. And he was like, "Maybe not there, bud." Right? So I run over to Jeff's backpack and I'm peeing on Jeff's backpack. And he's like, "Dude, what the fuck? You gotta not pee in my backpack right now." So I start peeing on a person who's just sleeping there, hasn't woken up yet. Rude awakening. Not great. Real R. Kelly shit. Like, and so then they wake Peter up because that's who I brought, and he gets some pants on me and takes me home. Like, that's the end of it. Like, that's why I don't take acid anymore.
That would cure me of it.
Yeah, shit like that happens.
But I gotta appreciate the fact that he said you had a nice penis. So
Yeah,
that was
I think that's a pretty calm
that
response.
was constructive, you know.
Yeah.
All right. Did you enjoy that conversation with Devin and Zac of Mr. Rogers and the Make Believe Friends? I should have clarified. I don't know if they. Well, yeah, they didn't care if I used their real names because they told me that either way worked. But it was also Mr. Rogers and Jerry Riker. Oh, I can't ever get it right. I'm really bad at this. But you guys still listen, so I appreciate that. Whatever. I'm trying the best I can with the small amount of intelligence that was allotted to me at the factory. But whatever. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you check them out. Please, again, go search Mr. Rogers and the Make Believe Friends on YouTube. See their rendition of Paper Planes because it's fucking dope. And also, if you look on that video, that you'll find links to all their social media, so it makes it extra easy for you. Okay, if you need that, I don't think you do. You guys are all mostly smart people, but if you do need some more help, just search the name of the band, Mr. Rogers Make Believe Friends, on any of the social media places, and you should be able to find them. They're on most of them. They're on the important ones. We'll just say that. What else? I don't know. Thank you guys. I got to thank you guys every episode. I appreciate the ever-growing listenership and support. You guys are fantastic human beings. For number one, for putting up with me, but for number two, for listening and supporting this show. I really appreciate that. Anything else? Make sure you keep seeking the truth. Make sure you spade neuter your pets and children. Do those things as well, too. And what's the good message for today? Is there a good message for the day? I don't know. There's got to be a good message for today. Oh, here's the good message. Here's what it is. Making it as an artist, no matter if your art is comedy or if your art is music or if your art is being a professional wrestler, it's a difficult and arduous climb to get to anything that's a level of success, right? And the only way that your favorite independent band or comedian or wrestler or whatever will ever reach that level of success, and by level of success means just the ability to pay the bills with their art, is from fan support. Okay? Listener support, wrestling fan support, comedy fan support, whatever it is, you got to go out there and support them. Okay? Now, I, like you, love to go see the name brand acts, right? If one of my favorite comedians in town, Dave Attell or Rogan or something like that, I want to go see them perform live. I definitely want to do that. And I'd be willing to pay, considerably higher ticket prices than I would if I went to go see something local and independent. Okay. But I make sure I go see local and independent as well too. Right. Because I want those people, because that's the future, right? The next famous wrestler is wrestling in these shows like Devin's wrestling. And the next famous music act is acts like Mr. Rogers and the Make Believe Friends, struggling, making maybe $100 to do a show, split between 4, 5, 6 band members. Okay. So you got to get out there and support them. You got to support them financially. You got to support them with the things you do online. Like, hey, yeah, I really loved that Rogan show last night, but hey, check out this, right? Here's a local comedian who's really funny. Or, hey, I love that new band that new album by that band that's been making millions of dollars for 20 years. But hey, check out this link to this video by Mr. Rogers and the Make Believe Friends, right? Okay. Help them out. Help creative people out. Okay. If you can't afford to buy something like a ticket to their show or some merchandise, do the simple act of sharing their content on social media. That is a huge tool to help them expand their base, right? More fans, more listeners, more support, right? And then they can, climb up the ranks of popularity and get to a level where they can start paying some bills with the art that they create that you and I both enjoy. I think we all know that, though, right? I mean, that's just the way it works, right? You got to support them, and you should, right? If you enjoy their content, support them as best you can. All right, that's it. I love you guys. Take care of yourselves. Take care of the people that are close to you. Take care of strangers if you can, right? Take care of a stranger. I don't know how you're going to do that. Maybe sexually, maybe financially, whichever you prefer. It's completely on you. I am not trying to persuade you to do anything sexual for a stranger. Talk to you next episode. Bye-bye.